Hello, everyone. It looks like we are live. I'm going to just take a couple seconds and just talk for a minute. Got my friend Michelle here. I cannot wait to share more with you about who she is. And I want to give the internet a little time to pick up on this. We're going to be cutting in live. I'll count back and we'll start the talk show. But today's talk show is going to be something different, something I've never done, but yet I know we need to talk about it. So I'll just quick read the title. You can see it down at the bottom there, and it says How to Cope and Find Hope When Your Child is Struggling with an Addiction. And I believe that I have the expert here. So even if this is a message, not necessarily that you need to hear today, keep it in mind, remember it's here, maybe tag someone. And remember, if you don't want to tag them publicly, since it's kind of a sensitive subject, you can always hit that share button and then send it by a private message. Okay, so this will be here for replay. You guys can listen to it whenever you want, but we're going to go ahead. I'm going to count back. I'll do the intro and then we'll get started. I see somebody just popped on, so we're going to go ahead. Are you ready for this, Michelle?
I'm ready. Thank you.
Okay. Yep, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. This is Nikki Klegel with Fulfill Your Legacy, and I'm so happy you are here with us on another episode of Living Within the Sweet Spot. I'm an author, a life and business coach, and speaker who elevates others into their sweet spot, where they get more out of life and work because they partner with God. They know their divine purpose and how to tap into all the Trinity offers. Here, they fulfill their legacy. They learn to live, love, learn, and lead according to the call God has on their life. And today's show is all about how to cope and how to find hope when your child is struggling with an addiction. I believe I have the expert here. I know that she is in her sweet spot. I'm going to introduce her in just one second, but I have to say, honestly, when I read her bio, right in the middle of it, it said in her sweet spot, right? So let's go ahead and introduce Michelle Weidenbenner. I'm so happy to have you here with us today. Now, Michelle is an Amazon #1 bestselling author, and she spent years writing fiction, but when God called her to take guardianship over her grandkids due to her son's addiction, she refocused her work to serving moms of addicted loved ones. Her sweet spot is in the center of a pickleball paddle, but it's also empowering moms to regain their purpose and significance in order to live a life that matters and positively influence others. Her energy is contagious. I can contest to that. She focuses on unlocking the self-advocate in moms and encouraging them to dream big. As the mother of a recovering addict, she spent most of her time advocating and coaching. She spends most of her time advocating and coaching moms of addicted loved ones. She has a podcast at Moms Letting Go. That's her website, Without Giving Up. If you're a mom of an adult addict, then you have a free guidebook at the end of this. I'm going to post the link inside of the comments, and we're going to go ahead and get started. Michelle, tell them a little more about you and the work you do before we get started, maybe how we met each other.
Hi, and thank you. What a great welcome. It's so nice to be here and just to be able to talk openly about something that is often hidden in shame. So I met Nikki, probably through my writing and book, at a conference, actually, at a leadership conference, because I'm all about those. And, just like probably a lot of you moms here, once upon a time, I had very self-limiting beliefs, and I intentionally would attend these leadership events and conferences so I could meet other people and just really learn how to grow myself. And that's how I met Nikki. And just great connection there. And I've enjoyed working with her. She's one of my coaches now.
Yeah, you're easy to coach. I always think this about. I mean, I feel this way honestly about everyone. Not to take your bright light on you off, but you are. I just hardly say anything, and you're right away applying it. But what I want everyone to know is kind of the outline that we're going to do today, and that I know Michelle has great stuff for you guys. She is going to kind of be running the show. She might not know that, but I mean, typically this is how we do it. We go through the problem, the word, the gift, the choice. And so we are in a life coaching show. Now I do two different shows. I do a business one and a life one. This is the life one. And so today, you know, we're reaching out and wanting to offer help to parents of people whose children have been and are in the trenches of this. And so we're going to look at what the problems are for those parents, what the word tells us to do, because that's how we follow things on the show. And then what the blessing is if we follow what the word says. And then last, it's free will, and we'll challenge you guys to step into really what we've been called to do. So shall we get started?
Yes.
All right. So Michelle, if you think about these moms and the situation they're in, and I don't know, like, how do we look at it? Is it the kid's problem? Is it the mom's problem? Is it both? But when we break it down the way the show is, the problem, the word, the gift, the choice, what is the problem here?
Well, for moms of addicted loved ones, they lose their identity. They lose themselves because they're so just filled with anxiety and fear and worry that their child is going to overdose, right? Because there's like 170 kids, adult addicted loved ones who are dying every single day. It's
Say that again. Say that again. What's the stats?
It's about 170 a day who are dying. And so it's a reality. And so when moms come to join my private Facebook group, Moms Letting Go, I ask them a question: what is your greatest fear? And 99% of them fear that their children are going to die. So she loses herself. She becomes so focused on trying to help her child that she forgets her own self-care. And sometimes she loses her physical health, her spiritual health, her finances, because it costs so much money to get our kids, our loved ones in recovery. The good evidence-based programs sometimes are really expensive. And if they don't have insurance, you know, moms and dads help out. And so then they relapse and then they start over again. So what happens is moms after a while just are getting sick, you know, physically sick. And they just aren't able to let go of the chaos and the shame and the guilt. And they don't know how to love their children through the disease without enabling them or trying to fix them. And so the problem that I help with is I help moms to kind of let go of that chaos, of that shame, and then learn to love themselves and their child well, and recapture their own identity and purpose.
Yeah.
And so it's a process.
Say those, was it 3 things that you just listed?
Yeah. So let go.
Yep.
And sometimes moms think, well, I can't let go of my children. No, we never let go of our children. We let go of the chaos and the shame and the guilt that keeps us locked, you know, in secrecy sometimes. And we learn to love ourselves and our child well, even if they're addicted. And so we can recapture our identity and our purpose, because I believe when we find our purpose, we become the hope builders for our children. Our children, our addicted children, realize, oh my goodness, my mom's not going to try to fix me anymore. She's going to let me do this on my own. She's going to empower me, and look at her go. Like, she is in her element now. I want what she has. And so that's kind of
okay. So somebody listening, there's quite a few of you. Go ahead and type these in the comments so that we can keep track. But I'm going to say 3 L's just so I can remember it better. But let go, love, and I would say latch onto your true identity. So so put those things down there so we can kind of remember. But so that, I agree, that would be the struggle. I mean, I have adult children, right? And whenever I have a prayer that I need to do a little mental check on, it's the ones where you're praying unhealthy. Like I do this, like I will pray the worry. Like, that's just speaking more of what Satan's trying to get us: doubt, guilt, shame, none of it
Wow.
from God. And when I'm worried about my kids, that's what I do. And I can't imagine how hard that would be to not pray on the dark side of things. Thank you, Jamie. Love, latch, let go. So let's move on, because maybe now when I talked about praying, being careful what we pray and how we pray, maybe the word, we can get into some of that. But now I challenged you this little outline. So you did a beautiful job on the problem these parents are dealing with.
Yeah.
And we say moms, but we're talking to men here too. So I see on the list, but it's just that she has special group and she nurtures these women. They're in a community and stuff. But so let's now say, okay, what does the word tell us about what we can do?
So when you look at how many times the word fear not is in the Bible, like 365 times, they teach, preach, and beseech us, right? Not to be afraid. But yet, that's where moms sit, is in that fear. And that's what you mentioned, you kind of pray the worry. I never heard that term before, but oh my goodness, that's so good.
Yeah.
But I prayed about this, and I came up with Isaiah 26:3. You keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on you, because he trusts in you. And so if we can trust God, that he loves our child even more than we do, which is like unbelievable. How could anybody? But if we trust that, then we can learn to sit beside our loved one and not try to fix them, but hand them over to God and say,
Okay, so, oh gosh, I'm interrupting you.
Oh, that's fine. No.
So I want to say something. I want to push back for the listener, because I'm just like, I coach people who've been through this as well. I just want to send them to you and let the expert go. But this is also what happens when I hear that, like, we need to trust that that these are God's children. I love that. That's peace filled, right? But then you can't, you struggle to do that. So then that to me makes the poor parent feel like, oh, me of little faith. And so, and that's a painful thing. Like, but instead of, I'm challenging you, if you have these situations where you sort of have this, where you like say, okay, nope, this is God's child, what can you do? And you're feeling faithless because you're still worrying. What can you do? I'm thinking like, you gotta surrender. Like we say, it's God's child, but yet we keep that child all in our clenches and in our control and everything. And so then we do feel this like overwhelm of like, I have to be responsible to fix this. I have to whatever. But if we can surrender, and that sounds so wrong, like surrendering your child, right?
Right. It just, because that's not moms, what we've spent our whole life doing is our jobs are our children and nurturing. It's kind of like mom equals nurturer, right? It just it just feels so wrong to moms. And but so teaching them, but you can still love your child and show them love without trying to fix them. And they're like, well, I don't get it. How do you do that? Right.
Right.
And I think it's just listening, which is sometimes so hard, because if our child is in the throes of addiction, they have upside down logic. They're not even going to make sense. So listening to them, it's in my analogy sometimes is like my mom had dementia for a while. And even though she didn't make sense, it was her reality. Well, just like for our addicted loved ones, when they're in the throes of addiction, it's their reality that people are after them, and that's
good.
And so what you do is, you hold your hand to them. Oh my goodness, it must be so frightening. Oh, I'm so sorry. You must be so frightened. And, and just listening, without trying to lecture or fix or hurry up and get to recovery, right? Now, hopefully they will want that. But sometimes if we push too hard, they just push back and we make them angry. It's tough, but surrender. Yes. Surrendering them. But what I have found though is the antidote to addiction is connectivity. And so if moms can connect with other moms who are going through it, it's kind of like we can talk each other off the wall. Like, tell me how you did that. Show me how to love without getting angry. Show me how to find peace, right?
Well, and that's that comfort in numbers. We know that that's biblical, honestly. Like, get together, support each other.
Oh,
I love that. I don't know how you would do it on your own, because
no.
these parents, I would feel like they would feel like, oh, I've screwed up, or just like taking the ownership, and that would just help them realize this awesome person here is going through the exact same thing that I am going through. And I would feel like that would be a little release for them.
It is. And I've seen emotion in moms saying, oh my goodness, I thought that only I was struggling with this. And it's so, even though like one of my moms might have an alcoholic son and another mom might have one addicted to heroin, it's that same feeling. So we come together from all these different ethnical backgrounds too, and diverse, neighborhoods and families, and yet we all have this common bond. And it's such a difficult place to sit sometimes because it's sad, right? And so whenever a mom says, oh, I'm so glad I found this group, I keep this little file so I can go in there and remind myself why I'm doing this and why this work needs to keep going, because it helps me get through it when it's really sad.
Okay, so I know your heart. I mean, I see your throat. Your throat sometimes gets, here, and I can see the tears, because you have so much love and compassion for these people. I noticed that we're in the section of Word. You gave us a really great reference. And then I noticed that Jamie put a Bible verse down, and I really like this. Like, he put down John 10:10, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. We know that. And so, the enemy is at work like crazy in these situations, stealing, destroying relationships, stealing our child from us, honestly, killing their dreams, in all areas. This is not God work. And so we know that, like, there's always going to be this good against bad. And that what I love about your group is you're creating this space to bring the opposing factor in play. And that's why you're on my show. It's very faith-based, but we can fight things with grit, and we can fight things with like as much passion and heart as we have. But when we that's why I said surrender, and you're speaking it too. When we can surrender to God and put his power on it, we got to realize we are fighting the enemy. We want that superpower over it all, because that is the overcomer, not us, not our child. God is the overcomer. So anyway, I got on my soapbox there a minute.
But it's interesting because since I've started this ministry, if you call it that, I feel like I've been attacked by the enemy often. And and so now it's almost like I can discern, oh, well, that's just the enemy trying to stop. Which means I need to keep going with this. So in just one little quick thing about that, I was running one of my first Zoom support meetings, and all of a sudden I had all these people in the room, and they had hacked us, and they were shouting obscenities about God. And there were so many, I couldn't even shut them all out. This was early COVID. And I just shut down the meeting and cried. And then I thought, no, wait a minute. That was the enemy. I am not going to stop. Right. And so I hurried up, got right back into my live group and said, you guys, that was the enemy. We are going to have this meeting tomorrow night, and this is where we're taking it. So, but I do feel spiritually attacked, and addiction is a spiritual war. It is. And
I'm proud of you. And I don't know why, I'm sure I'm telling you this in front of everyone, and I know thousands will listen and replay. That's just the numbers. But like, do you guys have like outside source, like prayer group sort of thing? The Legacy Leaders, my community,
Uh-huh.
is on a mission for prayer, and we're starting our own little prayer community.
Mm.
And it's making me wonder if maybe I need to kind of sort of partner with that, and we can just pray on your women inside of there and their kids. But anyway,
Wow.
we
That
can
would be
talk about
awesome.
that more later. It just
Wow.
it's the way it is. Okay, so now, is there any other like Bible things that you really think need to be brought into play here before we move on to the gift?
Probably just the story of Jonah
Okay.
and how God had told him, I need you to go do this. And he was like, no. And he boarded that ship and he was like hiding beneath, hiding underneath. And then all of a sudden the storm comes and there's waves and the the men on the ship are like, what is going on? And they go down to Jonah and they say, what are you must be creating this. And I think that, he's like, well, just throw me out into the storm. And they're like, well, we can't do that. And he says, yeah, you need to do that. And so it's kind of like that story. I don't know if I'm making my point, but
You are.
so the crew throws him off board. But he didn't want to be corrected. He wanted to be comfortable down there sleeping, right? And it's just like our addicted loved ones. They just want to be numb to the pain and to be comfortable. And we just feel like sometimes when we let go, we have to just throw them overboard. But here's the thing, that we can't save our children. We can't rescue them. And when we try to do that, we're getting in God's way. Because what did God do with Jonah? Like he had that fish swallow him for 3 days, right? And how stubborn was Jonah, right? Jonah didn't even get on his knees to pray until the third day. So, and moms, we would have been like, as soon as the storm, down on our knees, okay, God, help us, right? But so my point is that sometimes we can't be our kids' Jonah. We can't be their Holy Spirit. We have to be able to see that by letting go of that chaos and that fixing all the time, that we are giving our children to God and saying, mold them for their journey, help them find their purpose and where they are. But we can pray for the enemy to quit attacking them, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes, like a lot of times, I'll just pray that God puts the right people in their path when they're homeless, when they're in jail, when they're in prison, when they're, dying. And I share stories of hope like that every day in the group because there are those people out there who are doing that.
Yeah, I can't help but think of, the armor that we put on and the purpose of
Yeah.
the sword. The sword is the Holy Spirit. And so when we're praying, and I said, oh, we can get stuck in those prayers of worry, pray that the Holy Spirit is a piercing truth, that it breaks up what the enemy is trying to confuse, destroy, kill. That, like Michelle just said, I see now. I can see, I can feel when the enemy is interfering and distracting and all this stuff. And if you can pray, the addicted person might not pick up a Bible. They might not walk into church, but the Holy Spirit is all around each and every one of us every day, all day. And if we can put our prayers in the fact that pierces through that sin and that destruction there, that is a little sever, I think, that we can really lean into. I love that, Michelle. It's so good. I love the story, and you're right. You said to moms, we would be on our knees
Yeah.
right away. We wouldn't need these 3 days and all this drama. But the thing is, I wonder how many of us spend the early years not calling on God.
No.
Because
Yeah.
we think we're stuck in this world where we're pretty independent, we're pretty strong, we're busy, and then that's when that guilt comes in, and that is not of God. So wherever, as soon as you realize it's crippling, drop on those knees and call on God. All right, so we've talked enough about now the problem and the word, what the Bible's kind of encouraging us, but you have a lot of you've seen the blessings that come of it. So share with us some wins. Share with us the gifts. If we just lean into God while we're waiting, or maybe some stories. What are some wins?
And even recapturing, looking for a mom's purpose. So moms kind of recover in a cycle too. And in the later stages of their recovery, they start finding purpose in their pain. And so, for instance, like one mom in my community went to the mayor and said, I want to start this jail program where people from the community come in and minister to people in the jail who are there because of a drug addiction. And they haven't, killed anybody. They're not, they're harming themselves and not other. And so what she did was she implemented this huge program that is doing amazing things. And then more and more jails are looking to do the same. And all because her son was an addicted loved one who she watched. And there's nothing we can do. We can't save them. We have to give them to God. But what we can do is start getting mighty in our own mom way and finding purpose in our pain. It's kind of like with me in doing this ministry. And then I interviewed a couple guys who run Fort Wayne Recovery this week, and they tell their story of like 10 years of deep, deep addiction. And now they've been 3 and 4 years into serving those in addiction. So they're now working in the field of bringing hope every day, because they are hope. They have recovered. They're in recovery.
Yeah.
So I can't even tell you how many stories. But first, moms have to get well themselves. They have to make a commitment to recovery. And some of them just still want to like blame the system or get stuck in a way that isn't positive, isn't moving the world.
Yeah. So what I'm proud of you, what I love about what you're doing is it's in the here and now. And I think what my instinct is the blessing, my instinct is the win when things get in the good place. Well, that's because your kid's not on drugs anymore, and you're having your family Christmases, and you're all reflecting back, and you're all like, thank God we made it through that. That's what I'm thinking the win is. And you're saying, whoa, these moms might be here for years. And so we can't lose them in this time. And you're seeing that happen to women, probably men and women, but that's where your heart is like, how do I help the woman in the season do it as best they can? Is that right?
Right. And I can't tell you how many moms who are doing this and their children are still homeless and stuck. And they're like, I can't do anything, right, for that child, but I can. So they will even go feed the homeless and talk to, just so they can understand better. And that I feel really works when you can talk to somebody who's in addiction or who's in recovery to better understand your child. It's powerful. It's powerful.
So I don't know if I'm like, I just hate the enemy. I don't hate much, but
yeah. I get it.
So I like this. Jamie also put down a comment that just says, basically this winning over the enemy, sends him back packing and trying to backpedal. And I think, wow, yeah, if he's trying to get to a mom and a son or daughter, and all of a sudden that mom is a Michelle who starts a campaign, who then saves all these other moms who are then saving all these other people and feeding homeless and going to jails and doing whatever. He is working on one mom and one child. And as these women start to become forces for the kingdom, I mean, that's pretty powerful. I think he's going to be like, ooh, let's get the heck out of here and go pick on someone else because they're making too
I
many.
hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope so.
So anyway, okay. So
I always say our efforts exponentially multiply. Yes.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've done the problem, the word, the gift, to see these women find a way to not feel guilty about trying to enjoy and get the most out of their day to day, to find purpose and direction and kind of some freedom from that peace and overwhelm. Okay, so now let's move into the choice. So ultimately, we know that what are the choices these women have to make? I mean, think about that. Like, challenge our listeners to, like, what are some of the choices we really need to make?
Well, I think the most important choice is to love yourself and learn the 3 C's. I can't control it. I didn't cause it. Oh my goodness.
You're under pressure.
I know.
That's all
Oh my
right.
goodness. I know them all like back of my hand, and I didn't cause
right.
it. I can't cure it. Yes, that.
Go.
So, but yeah, and just to know that, and I guess find joy in the way that you can best find joy. And my sweet spot, I said, is like in pickleball, but that's one of the places where I can go and lose time and totally forget all about all the enemy stuff, right? All the hard stuff.
Mhm.
But it's just when we quit trying to rescue our children and just work on rescuing ourselves, there's power in that.
Yeah, that it just seems like some moms at different stages in their life, when they hear that, might think that just sounds so wrong to say, to worry about ourselves and stuff. But we have to be our most whole self to help our children. And so, gosh, I really love everything you've said. Do you have more that you want to say?
Well, no, it's that oxygen mask, before
Yes.
you've got to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you can help somebody else. And if you study oh golly, not genotypes, but the genogram, where you look into your family history and you can see all these problems. Families, if they come together and really want to, help themselves and their family, they will come at this addiction thing so much healthier.
Yeah. Yeah. I really appreciate your openness. This is a hard subject. A lot of people don't even want to talk about it. And so
Wow.
getting on the platform today and being so open about it, can you share with us your win? Your son's story a little bit, and he's, and just let some people hear maybe some, I don't know, ending to some of this. And is it ever an ending?
I think with addiction, especially for moms, we always worry that our children will relapse. Our son and daughter-in-law were 2 years into recovery as of February. And I mean, we're talking like 15 years. They went from, alcohol to opioids to heroin to meth. They were homeless, emaciated, hepatitis C. They were in just a horrible, horrible place. And their children had been neglected. And it just wreaked havoc on the entire family. But now they're working full time. They are building their lives. They are having their children in their lives more and more and spending more quality time together. They're doing so many things right. And we're so blessed. We're so blessed by that. And so what you learn is to just celebrate each moment. Like right now in this moment, this is a pinch me moment that I am here speaking with all of you, with Nikki. I just love you, and having this conversation to actually say they are in recovery. Like I never would have thought that could have happened. Right. So yeah.
Yeah, God is good, and he is the God of impossible. And I know
Yeah.
that you really leaned into him for help through all of this.
Yeah.
You teach your women to lean into their faith. They're all in different places, and we want to honor that. But I just know that it's such a blessing to have this community. I want to talk about that a little more before we're
Okay.
going to go to a break. We're going to stop for a section, come right back. It'll only be a second. They'll cut the commercial in when we're done. But we have a question and answer at the end of this. So somebody emailed in their question. We'll have you give your input on that. But
Okay. Awesome.
tell everyone a little bit about your company. Website name is momslettinggo.com. You can see all this there if you're feeling like, oh, I want to do this. Don't leave now. Just stay here. We've got Q&A after. But you can go find all of this that she's going to talk about at momslettinggo.com. But there's more ways that they can reach you. And there's also a video series that I was able to post in Facebook, but YouTube rejected it. I don't know why. So I'll try to get it all out there for everyone, but share with them a little bit about how they can know more about you. I feel like if it's not, them they're dealing with, they know a friend or a sister or somebody in their church,
If you go to momslettinggo.com, you'll get this free ebook. And in this is Moms Letting Go Without Giving Up 7 Steps to Self-Recovery. So it'll help you just learn the steps on how you can start to heal. And it'll invite you to come and join the Facebook group, the private Facebook group. And if you want
that's
to.
all free too. And that's free too.
Yeah. Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And if you want to accelerate that, if you want to be a part of a more intimate group, I do have the Almighty Mom Tribe, where it's a paid subscription and moms come in. We have weekly coaching support calls. We're doing right now the Bible study Trustworthy. And we have speakers but most importantly, and lots of courses. Understanding addiction can help calm moms once they understand what their child's going through. But it's really the community support. And we're just so close now. We're learning about each other. We're there. We cry together. We laugh together. And we're going to write a book together.
Yeah, you are. And this group is small, but actually kind of big. I mean, your numbers are good, and I don't want people to get in there and think there's 3 ladies, but it's just that by you all sharing some of the same pain and some of the same hopes and dreams that, it makes you a tight-knit group, even though there's quite a few in there. So let's go ahead. We're going to count back to break, and we'll come back with question and answer at the end. So thank you, everyone, for being with us on Living Within the Sweet Spot. We're heading off to a break real quick. Stay tuned. All right. So I'll just give it 1 sec. We'll count back and then be real quiet.
Is it 45 minutes? How long is this?
It's 30. Yeah, it's as long as we want. We're at 37 minutes right now, but we did talk a little at the beginning. So I'm going to count back, and we just be real quiet for a second so they can chime in the music. Okay, so 3, 2, 1. Hello, everyone. All right, we are back on Living Within the Sweet Spot, and we are at question and answer time. Now, I've got Michelle here with us. She is there she's waving. She's helping us find hope, figure out how to cope when our children are struggling with addiction. Now, these are adult children that we're talking about, so, your role is a little different. And she has walked through this journey herself. She has a community of women that are going through this, and she just breathes life into them. And they have training and education, and it is a wonderful environment. You can look up for more on that at momslettinggo.com. She's giving away a free book. You can follow her, as well as she does have her community, which is a subscription paid community. Not for much, by the way, but you can do that as well. So now let's get to our question. I struggled to choose which one to go with. But this one seemed to me almost like it was the person before they come to you. And that is who I would want to reach, maybe listening to the audience. So that's why I chose this. So this is Jill. And So Jill, I'm going to say before you get started, if you do hear this, I only have your first name. I do have your email, but I will pay your subscription into Michelle's group for a year if you're up for that. But anyway, so let's go ahead and listen to Jill. So Jill says, could you please pray for me? I'm not sure where to even begin or who to turn to other than God. I'm praying, but I still struggle to keep from letting my son's addiction consume me, my thoughts, my family life, relationships, and finances. I'm beyond feeling guilty for doing something wrong. To not prepare him for the world or for temptations or how to make wise choices, for missing the signs and then pushing too hard when I saw them. I just want peace. While we stay the course, and we will. Please pray, Jill. So, that just like every time I read it, I'm getting teary eyed. Like my heart goes out to her. But so can you speak to the Jills, not just this one, but the Jills of the world that just feel this way?
Well, first of all, Jill, thank you for sharing all of your angst, because so many other moms have the same and are even able to articulate it. You're not alone. And I'm super glad that you don't hold any guilt for all those things, because here's the thing. It's a disease. And so many people will say, no, it's a choice. But when our loved ones first started using, whether it was alcohol or smoking pot, they just thought it was fun. And in that moment, it was a choice. It was something that they just wanted to try, just maybe for fun. And maybe somebody else tried because they were trying to numb the pain. Everybody has a different first couple times. But once the brain has that and the dopamine levels just fire up, to their body, it's survival. They can't stop for their moms, for their children, for anybody. And I would just encourage you to just keep leaning into your faith like you are. Surround yourself with a community of other moms where you can just come and cry and share. But I would really encourage you too to learn how to listen to your child and meet him where he is. And you might be, well, what do you mean? Like, if I do that, isn't that like I'm saying it's okay, your addiction, if you use heroin or this or that it's okay? No, we can still meet them where they are without agreeing with, their lifestyle. We can hold their hand through their pain and suffering, and without trying to fix it and without enabling it. It's a tough place to sit in, but if you just come at it with the idea that you're just going to listen and not try to fix them for your own peace, and to just reflect back and affirm what they're feeling, it's empowering, because you give it back to them. Oh, I'm so sorry. You must be so frightened right now. Or, my, what are you going to do? And it's coming at it with a curiosity. But just keep leaning into your faith and find a group that you can join that will understand your pain.
Yeah, definitely. Jill, thank you so much for sending in your question. Reach out to me if you're interested in stepping in further. And
We'd love to have you.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you in the group.
Thank you, Michelle, for being with us. That is going to do it on this episode of Living Within the Sweet Spot. Please look for us next week, and we will take our journey a bit further on how we live, love, learn, and lead according to the call God has on our life. All right, Michelle, we're going to go ahead and end. See you guys.
Bye. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.